Yeah.
Okay, finally got everything pulled up. We are in the green room, hopefully. Closing all my
dear Lord.
extraneous windows.
Merv Matchin.
In the last minute, I remember to bring up RJ's guest icon.
Facial features.
So if, since we're in the green room, I need to have a talk with Kayla if she's here. And get some confirmation. She was earlier. If she wandered off, I want to make sure before I wanted to let her know I took some creative license because she's our. There we go. Kayla's here. Head writer, staff writer. Let's say staff. I'd be the head writer. I'm not going to be not jealous, but selfish and take that for myself. But staff writer, Kayla wrote our some stuff for tonight. But I did punch it up a little bit. I felt like I needed a little touch here or there, not much. She gave me some names. I already had names for them, but I compromised and we met in the middle. You'll find out what happens after this. Okay, so my green room chatter. I've got some great notes for you, RJ.
Some great notes?
Great. Some terrific,
great notes.
Some terrific notes. So I wrote these when I may or may not have been in an altered state of mind because I only wrote initials to save time. I know what one of them is, so I wrote BG verse MIG. So BG is the Bubble Guppies. My son likes watching the Bubble Guppies, and I was watching them with him one day on TV, and they were versus this MIG, who is a villain. They stood for something. I fucking felt in my bones that I would remember what these stood for, and I do not. But alias episode name was how everyone almost certainly would have died. So as I'm watching this episode of Bubble Guppies, it just felt incredibly, like the implications of it were stark, but only because I'm an adult. Like I'm sure Elliot, my son, would not get this, but the villain of the Bubble Guppies had some sort of baby fetish. She was mentally ill and had a baby fetish. But was incredibly smart, so she was like a mad scientist. And her plan was to create a ray out of baby stuff in the shape of a baby bottle that she would mount to the top of the tallest building in town and turn everybody into babies. All the citizens of this underwater town, all the mer people and the snails and crabs and groupers and shit, you know what I mean? So now, take a second to analyze that plan. Do you see a problem with it right off the bat?
Well, who's going to take care of all these babies?
Bingo, my friend. So, as I was analyzing this plan, I said to myself, Dave, this plan would end in 100% death of the townsfolk. Just think about the implications. So, everybody, bar none, are a baby 6 months and under. Everybody is dead in under 2 days.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what your intentions are. It's a lighthearted cartoon and it's on Nickelodeon and it's Bubble Guppies and everything. But, her baby fetish can only take her so far. It's like the craziest of the crazy cat ladies, right? Your time can only be stretched so thin. And this definitely would have just been a fetish turned lethal for an entire town.
Well, and wouldn't it also turn her into a baby because she's in the town?
Well, no, she'd be under the ray. It would shoot out from the top of the baby robot that she made. That comes it's in my notes. It comes up later. So, here's the thing. The plan has one flaw that saves literally everyone from death. Like, only the people who have family members who leave the city proper for like work or on vacation would come back, hopefully in time to save their family members who are turned into babies before they starve and or die of thirst. So the plan has one flaw. She gets in this giant mecha baby that she built because she's a mad scientist. And it's climbing up. Here's the thing. A lot of problems, I guess, the biggest one I'll get to, but a lot of problems stem from this baby robot. Because it runs off of like gentle cooing and motherly encouragement from the scientist. Because again, she has a baby fetish. and she's talking this robot up the tallest building, and by the time it gets to the top, it's burned out whatever capacity for climbing it has, and needs to take a nap. And that's the crux of the plan, is if she'd only programmed it to be a robot instead of a baby and it didn't need to take a nap, which no machine does ever, she would have succeeded in murdering the city. Mm-hmm. But at the top, it needed to stop and take a nap because it got fussy.
It's nap time.
I shit you not. That is the only saving grace, because the big bottle ray that was on top of the giant baby robot was just a blown up version of the handheld gun that the scientist had as she went around collecting this stuff. So all of the superhero themed bubble guppy characters had already been turned into babies, and their fate was sealed. Like, it was nothing but doom sealed for the bubble guppy, whatever city that is. I was maybe the only episode I've ever watched, but Jesus Christ. And then in the end, they put the mad scientist in jail, and she's clearly suffering from a mental illness. Like, her fixation on babies is such that, like, they throw a baby doll into her prison cell with her, and she just, like, curls up on the cot and, like, is happy as a pig in shit. Clearly in need of mental health, but super smart, and they just all laugh outside of the cell.
Yep.
And there's like 6 or 8 of them, and they go, ah, ha, ha, ha. Well, anyway. And then, like, her brilliant intellect is just now doomed to rot away behind bars in this universe of bubble guppies. I thought it was dark. What do you think about that, RJ?
Well, I have many thoughts. A lot of them revolve around what? So, I had a thought with...
Sure.
So she succeeds, turns city into babies. What percentage in the first 2 days of babies would have shoved forks into outlets?
Who knows? Like, that's what I'm saying. Either by misadventure, exposure, because, like, and I'm saying, like, all the ones within a day or everyone within a day or two would be dead because of the starvation. But think of everybody behind the wheel of a car, a major machine, like any, an electrical worker on a power line somewhere. Everybody, bar none, gets turned into babies. Like, immediately, maybe, let's say 30% dead immediately. Mm-hmm. Just based on the thing they were doing, needing the adult size.
Yeah.
Dead. Just like wood chippers, just shit all across the city that were being operated by professionals of an adult size and capacity.
Professional crabs.
Yeah, like the airport, just like just children being slurped into engines and twirling blades, crashing their vehicles or falling into fires, like people in the middle of surgery or people on life support. Forget about all, like, the strong of the society that can last the day and a half. Like, the immediate, I'm gonna up it to like half the population dead immediately.
Yeah.
Or within the first 10 minutes, let's say. Like, maybe during the explosions and stuff. Or
you could just be taking a bath and then just instantly drown.
Seriously! And, like, isn't that fucking terrifying? Like, the implications are horrifying, but it's like, none of the writers who were writing for Bubble Guppies were like, oh, it's dark as hell. They were just like, oh, you know, babies are cute. We'll make a baby ray that looks like a baby bottle. It'll turn people into babies and everybody's cute.
Planes, trains, and cars crashing across the city.
Seriously.
Underwater.
Like, sewage workers, electricians, plumbers, doctors, all babies all at once. Like, all of them that survive the fall alone. Well, it's underwater, so let's fuck that. That won't happen. But, like, because there's no the gravity of underwater, most of them swim anyway, so whatever. But everyone doing a dangerous job or whatever, like, we were saved not by the shortcomings of the villain in any intellectual or capacity to build and or exploit her intelligence into manifesting a plan. It was her disgusting baby fetish that kept her from killing everybody.
Yeah.
It's like if a crazy cat lady wanted to kill everybody with cat poop, but ended up dying because she loved the taste of it so much that she ate all of it before she could put it in the water supply.
That's why you don't get high on your own supply.
Right, but you can get drunk on your own surplunk because you just don't do things that rhyme. Oh, here's another thing that came up. So my son has a bunch of books that when you push the buttons, it'll say, "Oh, this is cat, meow, dog, whatever," and it's by the same company that does that Curious Caterpillar thing.
Eric Carl, yeah.
And so it's got all the hits, right? It's got dogs, cats, mice, roosters, snakes, every animal that makes a noise. And then there's like turtles. And I go, what the fuck sound do they have for a turtle? Because in my head, I'm logically thinking the hollow knocking of like a shell. But I recorded a little something earlier for you, and I want you to hear it.
Dog. Cat. Mouse. Turtle.
Isn't this crazy? What bullshit.
So the funny thing is, I could barely hear that. I would just hear like mouse, dog, and then I heard turtle perfectly clear, and then the song. So I heard that at least.
All right, tell you what. Let's go ahead and let me get everything started here, and we'll get the show started.
You're listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Dave, and this is another episode of FFOP Live. It's Flamingo Friday. Ta-da! You heard us in the green room probably, because we were there for quite a while. I had a lot of bits to play out. And the Bubble Guppy one, I had to really get off my chest, because...
It's like Cars.
It's like Cars, except we can talk about Cars some more, RJ. How do you feel about the movie Cars by Pixar and Disney? It's a collaboration that you may have heard of.
Well, Dave, I am glad you asked. I am wondering what the internal workings of the cars actually are. So, do they have stomachs?
Here's the thing. My only and working theory thus far is that these cars, right? These cars are actually manufactured, and somehow there's like an alien slug that they're having to squirt out of an existing car, like when they fuck or whatever, and put into, because I feel like they're aliens that they have to stay not compressed, but contained in a very specific ecosystem that is not Earth. Otherwise, I have very few theories as to how an organic and a mechanical organism can come about, since we have no examples of those IRL. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So let me introduce you. I didn't say your name, and for good reason. The show hadn't started yet. But it's RJ Snax. He's one of my favorite guests back on the show. What's up, RJ?
Thank you for having me here, Dave. I am very excited to be on the show tonight.
That's why you're here. You always play along when the cameras start rolling. But here's the thing. Real live Mervin here. I keep pointing the wrong side of the screen. He's over here. Real live Mervin here. He needs himself a lady, and that's why we're here, is to fill that need. So what we're going to be doing is a little esoteric, I know. It's going to be sort of game show. RJ's the announcer, so he's going to run us through our ladies. And then I'm going to consult these magic dice that are made out of camel bone. They're magic love dice. And we'll basically leave it up to the spirits, like the I Ching sort of thing, and see who Mervin ends up with. Oh, and P.S., I didn't take this as a personal offense, but I could have. One of our staff writers, I won't mention a name, in the literature they emailed me, mentioned Mervin as Merwin. Merwin. He's not German. He's not a Werner Herzog.
Merwin.
He's as Mervin as the department store is long. So, are you ready, RJ, for one of our one of my favorite but our least viewed shows ever? All right, so you introduce us to our first lucky lady, and then I'll have her come onto the screen.
We have Muffler Bearing. She enjoys tilapia and other bottom feeders, staring into the middle distance with eyes so dead you'll swear she was embalmed, and riding inside the laundry dryer to get that extra fluffy, puffed-up look that fashion is unwilling to rally with. On weekends, Muffler follows the Wrinkled Tinklers as a groupie for the octogenarian triangle players.
Okay.
They can be... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
They can be fun to listen to. Just don't share a seat with them because their alternate name is the original Soggy Bottom Boys.
Hey, good music. That ended up on a couple of playlists for me. But okay, so here's the thing. I had original names, so this one I made everything sort of alliterative. So this is Miranda. Let me make her a little bigger for you here. So Miranda, AI generated, just like Mervin. Thoughts? I realize they can't answer questions or anything like that, but like, does she look like she fits the look and the feel of Mervin here? Like, let me give her a little. I'll move her over there so I get a little more room. What do you think? I'm not, the description talking about the dead eyes, I agree with. I feel like her outfit that she decided to show up in is a little juvenile. The terry cloth thing, I'm not a huge fan of.
We need like date show music.
Oh, you know what? Let me look at this soundboard because I got a whole bunch of stuff here. Hold on. You should have heard that when she was coming on stage.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Picture it.
You will hear that from now on, gentle viewer. All right, so look at that. Look at her. Keep in mind the description. Now we're gonna hear about and see our next contestant, RJ.
Next, we have Squawk Box. She is a quiet and demure one. If quiet and demure means standing exactly 3 meters away, standing exactly 3 meters away from you with silent expectations no one could live up to, even if they managed to guess what they were. If you had an overbearing mother, Squawks would feel like a taste of home. Her other interests include sniffing shoe polish and body odor and figuring out how to make shoe polish smell like body odor.
Okay, so not a super pleasant description. Let's blow her up here. A little better in the fashion sense, right? She's got a nice sweater. It feels like a yoked out turtleneck, or maybe that's a cardigan.
Yeah, I'll go with cardigan. I think her skirt's cute.
I'm not.
The tutu?
Yeah, I think it
It does feel
makes her fun and flirty.
No, RJ brings up a fine point. That is, now it's nothing. All I can see is Jim Carrey in the tutu in Ace Ventura.
Wow.
That's it. Like when he's playing Finkel's brother or whoever. Nah, I can't do it. Sorry, she's got to go. RJ, bring on the next guest, please.
Our next guest, Quackoff Smirnoff. In my country, the gulls are flaming you. Quackoff came to our land in search of great horizons, where there's less flies buzzing around food, less flies circling in the bathroom, and basically, less flies overall. She's always willing to let loose and party down at the drop of a hat. Just don't ask what she has up her sleeve. It probably has something to do with flies.
When I was reading these, I gotta ask Kayla now, IRL. Like, is there a reference I'm missing here? Like, is there a flies thing that I just am not getting? But so far, this is one of the most compelling people/birds that I've seen. I love the sweater, the sparkles. It's a nice fit. The well-groomed feathers instead of like the weird Ace Ventura tutu.
looks like she has an arm that's broken backwards and twisted around her back.
She's flexible.
With feathers and stuff, it's hard. Like birds, you can't. You just got to learn not to judge with birds. That's all I can say. It's because they always make weird shapes and shit. But so far this is the leader of the pack as far as I'm concerned. What's her real name? Quintella. Back off. Did I give you a copy with their real names, RJ?
Yes.
Well, then why are you busting my balls here, man?
I didn't.
You're the narrator. Read it as written. Obviously, you're not going to read the parenthetical part aloud, but you can go ahead and fucking hit me up and fucking do me the solid of reading their real name.
But then why'd you put the other names?
I feel like I talked about this earlier when I punched up the script, but also melded the real names with the names that our writer gave them. God damn it, RJ. Just give me the next contestant, please.
No, I'm not doing this anymore. You yelled at me.
But we got 2 left, and they're waiting in the, I guess still in the green room.
Bring them out. So this is Bethany Nosh?
Nice.
Or is that how we're doing it?
I mean, I would hear, when like people, okay, so RJ, I realize you're new in narration, so I shouldn't be mad at you. But when like somebody either, for example, runs for office or is featured on a TV interview, they'll do, and I realize this is counterintuitive because I put their real name parenthetical, but it'll be like real name, quote, such and such, real last name. So what I should have done is done it backwards where I put their nicknames that, all right, I'll fess up. It was Kayla. That Kayla wrote
You already said it, yeah.
Put those in there. And I realized I did it backwards. But still, you're busting my balls here by like a lot.
Well, let me tell you about her a little bit.
Please do. Let me play the music again. Okay, go.
She is a more pensive, thinking individual. Often, Butternut can be seen just staring into an unopened can of cat food, contemplating the secrets of the universe. That, or just curious why the pop top looks so much like her eyes. When feeling more sociable, she can be found in parks interrupting chess games and offering helpful suggestions or just shouting Yahtzee.
Okay, so take a good long look at this contestant. So far,
oh no,
they're in ascending order of likefulness to me, and this is just how the AI generated them to me. So I can't. I'm not saying like they in random order essentially. But moral of the story is, I like how she has a couple of limbs down there. I like the tiny legs because Mervin
she's twerking.
Mervin himself has a tiny leg.
Mm-hmm. He does.
The sweater is most complete. I like the fact that the sleeve is pulled up, indicating that, she's ready to get down and do some dirty work if the situation calls. But the sweater is definitely sending the signal that, hey, I'm a fun person. This is a fun print. But I'm still, when it's time to go, I can do it. What's her name again?
Butternut.
Right.
Bethany Nosh.
Right. Okay. Great. So, thoughts, RJ?
So the pattern on the feathers / neck and face, I feel like make her look like she's a wood carving.
Okay. So
she might not be real.
I'm going to hit you up with this because this is the vibe that's hitting me with hard. Either one of those orange swirl cream savers, but more specifically, and I guarantee you've had a fucking 17 tons of ramen in your life, but those little noodles in there that have the red spiral thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Bam. Like it's right there in the cheek of this contestant.
In the cheek.
Yeah.
I see it.
And that as soon as it popped out of the AI, I was like, oh my God, this is a noodle-faced bitch. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. But then I saw the sweater. I saw the immaculately taking care of Feathers, the cute little ballerina, shriveled legs. Strong vibes on this one, so go ahead and hit me with the next one.
Both sexy and delicious.
Like a chocolate bar, shaped like a naked woman. Not dressed like a naked woman, because that'd be nothing.
We have Rutabaga Roberta a la carte. 7-time ugly sweater contestant champion, including the 5th year when Steve Jobs supposedly won, only to suffer an unexplainable flamingo pecking and thus giving up the title.
Fish cake and ramen. Oh, yeah, fish cakes. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, RJ.
When Rutabaga isn't searching for that perfect look at me and ask whether God exists ensemble, she is keen to go in the foothills searching for the Rocky Mountain oysters. She hasn't found any pearls yet, but it hasn't stopped her from trying.
Two scenarios were at the birth of the Rocky Mountain oyster, right? Like a cowboy out in the wilderness was like, you know what? I want to taste a nut sack. Or like somebody just got fed up and like, I'm tired of throwing all of this away. I'm going to try this part. Anyway, I digress. So let's take a closer look here. So number one, right off the bat, I love the sweater because it feels like a mix of Halloween and Christmas. It also feels like a hoodie, and we're looking at her arching her back toward camera, which I like. I like that hoodie aspect of it with the carrot nose and the smile here. The feathers, again, beautiful plumage. Some soul behind those eyes. The beak, nice curvature, nothing weird there. Good split, good color. Thoughts, RJ?
I see the Kool-Aid man wearing a mask.
I was literally thinking the same thing, but I didn't want to say it.
The Kool-Aid man wearing a mask. Okay, I kind of see that now. I was going more top half snowman, bottom half jack-o'-lantern.
Okay.
So it's like a Frosty meets, oh God, what's the boogeyman from Ghostbusters? Not Oogie Boogie. He's a bag of shit.
Whatever.
All right, so I don't know. Krista, thoughts? What are you thinking here?
I like her feathers. I'm not a fan of that sweatshirt thing. I liked the
Really?
Yeah, I liked the oh God. I don't remember which one. The one two past with the orange stripe sweater.
Oh. Well, I mean, I don't worry about the ones in the past. Worry about this one. I feel like this. I don't know, because we've all the ones we've seen have all had glaring flaws to me, and at the end of the day, I want someone like, imagine. Treat this like any other dating show. If like the ugly guy on The Bachelorette, like you wouldn't accept that. You want the best looking one. So that when it comes down to it, look at and follow your heart.
She's fine. I don't like the sweater. If it was a different sweater, I would be all in for this one.
That's like one of my favorite sweaters though.
I don't like the face on it. It takes away from her face, and her face is pretty.
Well, you shouldn't give, like, RJ, is this catty? Is this lady talk?
No, because I'm thinking, like, I can't stop staring at the shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
it wasn't until Krista said it takes away from the face that I looked up. I'm like, that's a good-looking flamingo.
Okay, yeah. Check them all out side by side here. Yeah, it is a good-looking. Here's the thing. A beautiful person in an ugly sweater can change. An ugly person in a beautiful sweater can change nothing that's important. So look at them. Here they are, all back to back. There they are next to Mervin. Who do you see filling that vacant space next to him? Being that beau, being there in his time of need, whatever that may look like. He's a very needy individual. I got to get him off my phone plan.
I have to go with the middle one. The one with the broken arm backwards.
Really? Should I open this up to chat also? Yeah, maybe we should do it like that. We'll do it as a voting system. So from Mervin to RJ, I know it's counterintuitive, but the closest one to Mervin is 1. The furthest one is 5. So I'll try and do the screen here. So here's 1, and here's 5. And then I'll roll the dice, see what the spirits have to say, and if they agree with the majority. And then maybe I'll just do what I was going to do anyway. Not to tip the hand too hard. But while those votes tally up, have you ever watched one of those dating shows, RJ? Like The Bachelor or Bachelorette or anything where like at the end people are supposed to get married?
No.
Right.
No, the closest thing to that is Survivor.
I was going to say that's the closest thing I've ever gotten to it too. And it was only because a girlfriend I had at the time was like, wouldn't take no for an answer. No, she would like, if it was on, we were wherever the closest TV was and we were watching it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that came on every week at the same time. You
Right.
know, you can't miss it.
But that's the thing. I was just glad that it wasn't a dating show because this was like the time when The Bachelor like maybe first hit and it had all those weird, oh my God, and all the weird permutations. It feels like all of the, just give me a gut reaction when I say this to you. Like the Bachelor and Bachelorette, like where everybody was wearing suits, like that was the Disney Pixar version of like Bus of Love or Flavor of Love or Chris this or that. Like anywhere where people were finding love outside of like a house with a jacuzzi was like DreamWorks.
Yeah.
Or it's like they were trying, like, hey, Shrek was fucking great, you guys. You did a really great job. Shrek made a lot of money, but you're not Pixar. Fucking know your role, right?
Stay in your lane.
Yeah, stay in your lane. This is under like Chris Rock's Rock of Love or Bret Michaels' Bus of Love or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Or Chris Farley's Van by the River.
Yeah, Chris Farley's Van of Love by the River. Oh my God. Or Lindsay Lohan's Love Bug. It's not that.
Was that a real thing?
Yeah, when they rebooted Herbie the Love Bug, Lindsay Lohan was the
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, the person. That's what I feel. Okay. There are so many flavors of Cars related media, right? Let's start dissecting it right now. People tally up the votes. In the world of living cars, you can do a couple of things. You can put their eyes at the windshield or where the headlights are. The headlights one is too weird. The Pixar cars did it right. Mm-hmm. Which then circumvents the problem of if the eyes are in the headlights, do you populate the cab with a human character, which is always a mistake. Like my kid likes Cars and Blaze, and Blaze is the eyes in the headlights that has a human passenger and interacts with other of that nature. And it just always feels like the cars can handle everything on their own, but when they're all like taking their ultra stupid pills or when the solution is far too obvious for even the stupidest car, the human will pop up and be like, let's make a bridge over the canyon or whatever.
We can do it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, hey, we never would have thought of that because you're a real boy. And it's just, it feels patronizing on so many levels because the steering wheel just feels pointless. Like Blaze drives is equally well with or without a passenger. So to have that like kid with his helmet and his driving costume and shit on being like, let's get him, Blaze. Like, I wonder how much resistance Blaze gives that in physical feedback because he obviously can't control him. Like Blaze ain't going to take that shit.
Right. No.
He's not being controlled by a slug.
They grab the wheel and like the wheel just jerks left and right, breaks the wrists.
Yeah, breaks the
I'm saying, yeah, like if he ever got like too squirrely on it, like Blaze would probably just shake him off by just spinning it a couple of times really quick. Have his arms fly off due to centrifugal force. And he's like, seriously, dude, I got this. And he like just snap back into his happy-go-lucky character, like, I'm Blaze.
Hello, Mantis Toboggan.
What's up, Mantis Toboggan?
Hey, if you're just joining us, so
We're looking for. Oh yeah, great.
we're looking for a mate for our little Mervin guy on the far right-hand side. From the right-hand side all the way to the left is 1 to 5. What is your favorite?
Yeah,
Without knowing any of their backstories.
I'm gonna roll these magic camel bone dice too.
I like number 4.
Where did you get these, by the way, Krista?
I got them from an Oddities Facebook group.
Right, but not from the oddities.
No, not the Oddities store. No, wait. Yes, it was from the Oddities store.
Okay,
Sorry, those are from the Oddities store.
These are. Have you ever seen the oddities?
It was a store in
It was
New
on
York.
TLC. Maybe.
Nope.
Oh god damn it! I think it was called Obscura Antiques. And I fucking love that show. It was like this big fat bald dude, this freaky lady with stringy blonde hair, and this dude who walked around like it was the 1930s. And it was kind of like Pawn Stars or Antiques Roadshow in a single shop where like people just bring in crazy fucked up antique garbage. And they'd go, oh my God, do you know anything about this? And of course the customer has to go like, no, I just want money. And they have to sit through a 20-minute spiel about, where this mummified duck came from or these plasticized gallbladders originated
They had
from.
such crazy stuff at the store.
Yeah, it was. But anyway, so yeah, these magic dice are made out of camel bone. I even rubbed them on my teeth to make sure I could feel the humps. Anyways, yeah, 2 or 4. Yeah, see, before everybody started chiming in, 5 was my hard yes.
Oh no!
I do not like the sweater. The
I
Kool-Aid
can change
Man
the sweater. I can fix the sweater. But
it's too late. That's what Roberta chose.
Yeah.
But like, so you're saying like if you're like at a beauty competition, like no matter what the shape of the body, if they just put on like a color or shape of clothing you don't like, you go fuck them. I feel like that's if we're going to reduce living sentient beings down to quantifiable numerical values, let's at least come together on the same thing that the clothes they're wearing doesn't matter. It's the hotness of their bodies. I'm not here judging, like, this isn't a fashion show.
I like number 3's beak.
I was going to say number 3 has a cool beak.
They all
got a
have
sexy little haircut.
Here's the thing. We could have done another 5 because I ran this simulation again, but couldn't get them all cut and chopped in time. So we could have had 10 to choose from.
Oh my God.
And the only reason I'm sticking to my guns internally with number 5 is I want them to be wearing Halloween sweaters, and it was the closest one that came to a Halloween, even though it's mostly Christmas.
Well, we didn't know that's what we were judging them on.
No, I know, but you're supposed to be looking at their faces, not necessarily their sweaters, because...
All I can see is the sweater on number 5.
But I don't know.
I like number 4. Number 4 is my...
Number 1 feels too far gone. Like that one got pulled out of
Number 1's out.
Yeah, number 1 out.
Sorry.
She got pulled out of a puddle. No one likes her.
Whatever your name was.
Yeah, you're gonzo. Meow. See ya.
I think that was Muffler.
Yes.
Okay, so that leaves us with these 4.
Muffler.
And I don't know.
I think number 2.
Number 2's eyes
had.
Okay, are a little uncanny. Let me make it a little bigger for you so you can see it.
Number 2 was the Jim Carrey tutu.
Yeah. So number 2 is Jim Carrey's tutu, but also like I don't know. The neck feels a little like, instead of being furry feathers like a flamingo should, it looks waddly like a turkey neck.
I was gonna say it looks like a turkey, and it looks like it's been like plucked. So it's just like a chicken skin.
It's that weird turkey neck bird skin that's like horrifying and no one wants. Okay, so she's gone.
And her sweater doesn't fit.
Sweater's not good. Too many problems. She's out of here. Number 3. Okay, I understand you like her broken arms. I'm not in love with the eyes, because whereas the cheeks as the fish noodles were endearing to me. The eyes of the fish noodle do not. I do not like characters with anything other than like recognizable irises and pupils. I can appreciate the sweater. I'm not dogging the sweater, but the everything else, I take that back. I love the semi-cardinal pompadour coif she's got going on, but
Yes.
the dead eyes are just too much. I cannot look at those for an extended period of time. Like, they're just not good. I can't. Unless there's like a huge outcry from the public. Negative. So now
Decision.
we're down to our major 2, because I've got the one that I still like, but the one that everybody, because we got 2 or 4. 2 didn't make the cut, so she's gone. So we got 4 and 5. I'm still sticking to 5 because I still love is even if everybody hates the sweater, the feathers on the bottom, the feathers on the head, I think are great. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like them both for 2 different reasons. And here, I'll explain them really quick after I make them big. I like the one on the left because it looks like a real-ish bird is just sitting in a sweater and turning around. And I like that aspect of it. But I like the, cream saver bird because it's that uncanny valley. The eye is just close enough because it's a circular pupil. I can accept it. And the legs are adorable.
I do like her legs.
I do like the legs. I must say, number 5 does have the nicest eyes out of all of them.
That's another thing. The eyes are the window to the soul. And what does the one over the other tell you? I mean, one is like shallow. The one on the left, yeah. Sweater's not great. Eyes are shallow. One on the right, sweater better. Eyes dead. Nothing there. This is do you remember watching, Flapjack?
Yes.
No.
You didn't watch Flapjack on Cartoon Network?
What?
No.
Oh my God. Okay, well there was the Candyman on whatever island. I'm sorry, I can't remember the lore, but he ran the candy store and he had a wife made of candy, and it was an ultra creepy, toxic relationship, despite the fact that one of them was only made of candy, and I loved it. But that's what the one on the right gives me. It gives me candy wife vibes, where I feel like after a while she'll start getting into Mervin's head and making him violent or depressed.
I already knew you were gonna choose 5 from like the get-go. So
but here's the thing: you felt it was in the air. I was open to, and I'm still not completely sold on not the candy wife because. I mean, let's be real. Mervin can probably handle a little abuse. He's tough as hell. I'm going to run a couple things by you. So look at this. Just look at that. How does that feel? Try that on. Like, it's not marriage, but how does that feel when you look at that? Does that bring warmth to your heart? Should they be a little closer like this? Here we go. Whoop. How's that look? Yeah. All right. Marinate on that, feel it, live in it.
I had to wait for the lag.
Yeah. Oh, she's getting closer.
So yeah, what do you think about that? Like as a gut reaction, how does that feel? And then, shoo, how we looking now? Does this give you better feels, worse feels? What's better, 1 or 2? Pretend I'm an optometrist, but I'm a love doctor for flamingo weirdos. 1 or 2?
Ooh.
Or I'll roll
I
these
do have to
goddamn
say,
dice.
nice eyes does make a nice couple.
I'm saying, right? Like, it's not for nothing. Like, when you see them together, Mervin has personality. He is a genuine fucking talent sitting over there. He draws the eye and he makes the imagination spark. I need someone who's going to, really bring that home with him.
If you take the face off of that sweater, it's almost like they're wearing matching clothing.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Don't get hung up on the clothing because, again, I can fix that shit.
It's just hard not to see it.
Like, imagine walking into a job interview and you accidentally wore like a tie that they didn't like. And they're like, you know what? Fuck you. And they're flipping you off from the 3rd-story window as you walk to your car. And it was all for something that was nothing but like a piece of cotton. Be so
They
mean.
do that all the time.
I know, but do you want to be like that, or do you want to like, be the change you want to see in society, RJ, is what I'm getting at.
Oh.
All right, I'm still going to roll the dice.
They do make a nice couple.
It says that I was right. Good news. All right, so there we go. Now, what's her name? I fucking forget. Shit.
Roberta. Rutabaga Roberta.
Roberta. Oh, no, Roberta. She might go through a name change.
Yeah, sweater
Love
change.
with Roberta. Like, Mervin has such personality, and his name just sort of fits him, right?
She looks like a Rhonda.
Maybe a Rhonda. I don't know. Anyway, so RJ, let's, now that we're on the subject of dating, do you have any like weird dating encounters? Like, I realize you're in a stable relationship now, but like, you've got to have something in your bag, because I fucking have a country mile of strange interactions.
It's funny because when the subject of dating came up, I'm like, oh, I don't have any interesting stories. And then I realized that I definitely do. The first like serious girlfriend I ever had, I gave her a call. We were going to go out to the movies. I gave her a call, and all of a sudden she's like, oh, it's like, I can't go right now. I'm waiting for someone to come home and watch my baby.
What?
Me, not knowing that she even had a kid, was a little thrown off at first.
You just reminded me of a story that I completely forgot about.
Oh, no.
Keep going.
So I was like, cool, no problem. She's like, we can see a later movie. I just got to wait for the person watching the baby to get here. And I was like, sure, not a problem. Waited about an hour. We're texting and talking. And so I call her again. And she's like, the baby's father, who I now found out she lives with, is going to be there relatively soon. Apparently he was pissed off that she was going on a date. They're not together.
Of course not. I hope not.
So I get there. He still hasn't arrived yet. So now we're just waiting for him to come home. I'm sitting on a couch facing away from the front door. And then it's just like death coming through as I just hear like the key turn and the door open. And I'm like, oh God, how is this going to go? Am I going to get punched in the face? What's happening here?
Jesus, dude.
He just immediately takes a right-hand turn. I don't turn around. I don't get up. I don't do anything. I just like freeze. He just goes to a bedroom, closes the door, and then she just leans in and goes, we can go. And then we just leave.
The fight, flight, or freeze thing kicked in, right?
Yeah.
Holy shit. So, okay, so that brought a few stories to mind. I had one in mind, but I'll let you pick. Do you want to hear a story about a date I took where the date paid for our dinner with food stamps, or where I was the other man?
Ooh, the other man.
Okay, so I forget how this started, and it went on longer than it should have, and I was a scumbag when I was in my early 20s. But I met this girl, and we went out for it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we're not really super compatible on literally anything. We'll just meet each other when it's both convenient for each other. And then she's like, hey, spoiler alert, like if it ever comes up, like I'm married with an X number of kids, more than 2. I go, what the fuck?
I feel like you might want to lead with that.
Right. Like when it happened, I was like, whoa. So like, Jesus. And like, so, thank God this was in a time before everything was kept by every cell phone company everywhere. Cause I was like, I don't know, stupid young, like 22. She was married, had several kids that were like approaching double digits in age. I was like, oh my God. Of course I didn't feel bad enough to like end it immediately, but I was weirded out for a little while until I, was unweirded out enough to go back. But yeah,
Wow.
it was a weird experience because, like, I don't know. You always hear about cheating spouses and you think, oh my God, it just, because you only think about the relationship you hear about that gets destroyed. You always assume that the person they cheated on is unattached or whatever. They're just like a straw man or whatever because you don't know them necessarily. And when that guy was me, I was like, oh, this is weird. And it didn't feel morally wrong enough for me to stop. I was like, be better at your job, dude. Now I have a much different view of the situation. But then I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't give a fuck.
That's crazy.
But clearly she was unhappy and you were providing her happiness. So you were actually doing a service.
Right.
Yeah, you were like that. Oh God, I just had this song in my head. It was a heart song where she went and had a one night stand with a guy to get pregnant so that.
Dude, we played. That's crazy. I can't remember the name of the song, but my band covered that song so many fucking times.
You called me dude.
Dude, I'm saying that in general. I'm saying, dude. Oh God.
It's
Yeah, what is that?
I just heard it in my car today, and I was singing, and then I realized, oh my God,
When I was in the band, we wanted to call Hope and the Red Strings, but Hope said no because it was too much of a reference to being on your period.
Yeah, I would probably say the same thing.
But we said the Red Strings were red because they were bloody because we shredded so hard. Of course, we were covering like Fleetwood Mac, so it was a weak argument.
Typing square. What is that heart song? Because now it's gonna bother me.
Thunder only happens when it's raining, people. Okay, so let me use one of my assets that I have on deck really quick. So let's take a really quick commercial break. RJ, the mics will stay live, so just be quiet. And let me fix this. We'll be right back right after this quick commercial message.
This episode of FFOP Radio is brought to you by the Bathroom Cougar. Does this happen to you?
Someone's in here. Someone's in here.
With the Bathroom Cougar, scare off any would-be embarrassment before it has a chance to happen.
Oh, shit. I gotta get out of here.
The Bathroom Cougar, available at Best Buy and all fine retailers.
Beautiful. Show sponsor the Bathroom Cougar. I implore you not to spend a single penny on the urinal Bobcat. It is an inferior product. Don't give it the time of day, people. You want the Bathroom Cougar, it's the OG. It is the original. It will keep people from coming into the stall and or the single toilet restroom of the small bookstore that you frequent by replicating the sound of a wild cougar. Thank you. A bobcat is simply not big enough.
All I want to do is make love to you is the heart song, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Wild.
I thought you were just coming on to him.
I mean, hey, but...
Dog.
Hey.
Dog. Dog.
I can't stop it.
Dog.
Okay, we just have to write it out, people.
That was it. Oh, Jesus.
Done. Okay, so... Any other fun dating stories, RJ? Like, you and I aren't too far away in age where, like, you probably did your fair amount of, like, online dating, right?
No, I've never actually online dated.
Whoa, okay. So, Jesus. Yeah. We're completely opposite because during my prime, I was an electrician, my prime dating years anyway. I was an electrician, and I was constantly on depending on the time of year, the 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. schedule or 6 a.m. to whatever schedule. So I was constantly tired as fuck, asleep by 8, and sunburnt as shit because I was an electrician. So I had nothing but online dating at my disposal, basically.
That's how we met. So David and I met.
Yeah, because When you have a job, now that I have an office job, or when I did have an office job and I was accessible to other people of different, other than just like ex-cons, it makes it a lot easier. And so online dating probably wouldn't have been as, not elusive, but alluring. But like, it was it's just like me and a bunch of dudes coming off of heroin, slamming Monster, throwing up, 2x4 light fixtures in a school. Who am I going to match with? It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't do online dating back east. I didn't do it until I moved here, and somebody actually made the profile for me. I didn't even do it. When I moved here, I had a boyfriend who was supposed to move out here with me and then bailed a week before because his grandmother didn't want him to leave, supposedly.
And he didn't want to give up the hard candy?
But he still wanted to be together when we moved here. I was like, how the fuck am I supposed
he wanted someone to be on the other side of the country that they could hang out and do road trips and fuck occasionally.
Yeah, so then somebody made the online profile for me. I went on 2 dates prior to meeting David. One of them was a super awkward, like, I'm not an extroverted person, as you all know. And it was like I went on this date with this like Iranian guy who wanted to like make out in his car before we went and had dinner. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to take a hard pass.
We're going to see Transformers 2. What do we make out first? We get some falafel.
He had a nice car, though.
If that's offensive, I apologize. Yeah. Online dating was crazy. And I'll tell you, like, if you were if you were a serial killer looking for my demographic in that time period, you could have killed my ass. I'm about to tell you a story. Because, one night I went out like, it was so far from my house. Like, it was in downtown Phoenix and I lived in Mesa. So it was like a 45 or 50-minute drive to meet this woman at this Denny's. So I get to this Denny's and I get there and I sit down, I order a soda and I'm waiting. And I get a text. I'm like, I'm here. Like, what's up with that? Like, are you here? She's like, yeah, I'm here. Like, come outside. I'm like, oh, come in. I already got a table. I got a drink. Like, I can't,
can't leave.
We're beyond the point of no return. There's a soda. There's money involved. So I can't leave. She's like, I'm outside. You got to come outside. It's like, God damn it. Okay. So I'll meet you out there and you can come outside and we'll sit down. So she lures me out there. We never go back into the Denny's. Like, I'm such a fucking idiot. I'm young. I'm like, a fucking, like, oh my God. This is why murderers will never have an end of victims, because there'll be stupid people like me. Because I left the safety and security of that well-lit Denny's into the parking lot to this woman who I was like, huh. But I didn't want to be like, to her face. I hadn't built up that. It came in waves. At first, it was like, I didn't have enough abrasive asshole qualities to be like, gross, I'm out. And I wasn't tactful enough to be like, you know what, this isn't my thing, I'm out. So she was like, oh, you know what, I know a great place, follow me. And I followed her for fucking 10 minutes and we end up at this abandoned park and she walks my ass out to one of those covered patios with the tables. Mm-hmm. And I swear, like, if I had any less resolve, I would have left assaulted. Like, she was so on my nuts, I could not believe it. And since I was still probably 2 years from losing my virginity, I up and skedaddle like you would not fucking believe. Like, she got me in a dark corner of the middle of nowhere at this table under this awning and wanted to jump my 20-year-old bones. And I was like, I am Audi 5000. But if that were like someone who were like, in any way wanted to cause me harm, I would have been murdered in that park, stripped naked and dumped in a canal. Uh-huh. But holy shit, it was the Wild West. It was the early days of the internet. But you don't. So, RJ, if you don't go with the internet strategy, what did you use? Friends?
Did you actually care about these people?
No, I mean, like, did you get introduced through friends? I obviously care for Christy, even though we met over the internet. She's not like an AI generated person that I'm just like, yeah, fucking internet spit her out and I get to bang her. Like, she's a real person. I'm saying, like, The connections made were through friends, right?
Yeah, the girl with the baby.
With the dragon tattoo.
I worked at a bowling alley, and after we would get out, we would always drive down the road to ditch.
I did that.
We would drive in the opposite direction of the Dunkin' Donuts we were going to ditch one of the employees who would go the opposite way, and then we would turn back around, go to the Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay,
that's fine.
And we would be there every night. The same girl was working, and eventually, like, she would always give us free stuff. And I told her, "Hey, come on, let's come to the bowling alley one day. We'll hook you up with some free bowling or something." And then she's like, "Here's my number. Why don't we just go out sometime?" And that's how it happened.
It's wild, right? Like, so it was just. But there was any indication beforehand? Did we like juiced up for her? Like, did you have a crush on her, or like putting off that magnetism, or did this hit you as like a genuine surprise?
I was a little bit surprised. I mean, she was like the first girl I ever dated, so everything was a surprise to me. But I mean, we would talk like every single night I worked, so it wasn't a huge surprise.
Yeah, like once you get that level built. Okay, so I've got a couple IRL, like before I became an electrician, like meeting people in the wild, so to speak. And they all ended in catastrophe because I was so fucking stupid. Like, everybody I met in real life who, and this is not a brag, because I'm sure this happens to everybody, but a few girls over the course of my career, and these all basically happened when I was working at a record store, they would give me their numbers unsolicited by me, and I go, whoa, big hit to Dave's ego, whatever, but I always fuck them up because I would be overeager and blow it. I forget where I was going with that, and I apologize. But the IRL ones always seem to be, I don't know. The internet thing seems easier on one hand because you can get a bunch of text in front of the person and sort of build yourself up before they see you and are ultimately cut down by your physical appearance, hypothetically. But all the ones that saw me in real life, I just fucking fumbled. I was bad at. There were so many missed opportunities because of my like simple stupidity. Like with the benefit of hindsight, you can look back at all these interactions with people of the opposite sex or the same sex or whatever, it doesn't matter. And I go, oh my God, the writing was on the fucking wall. For instance, I worked at a place that was an assisted living facility that was just like one of those places that basically staffs women because medical, there's just some places where like they have nurses and nurses are all ladies, yada, yada, yada. So this woman who worked with me, I fucking hated. She was a stuck-up bitch. She had a husband who was 5'0", who had a He-Man complex, who wanted to be a fireman, but they didn't take like action figure-sized dudes, so he was constantly getting let down. And it was just a back and forth. And just one day out of the blue, her marriage must have fell apart. This is all hindsight, I'm telling you. Because she texts me out of the blue and goes, hey, I had a dream about you. Which I later found out, if a lady out of the blue texts you and says, I have a dream about you, that means she's DTF. 9 times out of 10, if someone that you used to know that is possibly down to fuck with you in your configuration and they say that to you, they're DTF. So we had this text conversation. I'm like, oh, I always thought you were a bitch. And like the iceberg between us sort of melted. And again, this is hindsight. Maybe this is not real, but it felt like she wanted to bone because she talked about all these different things. And I go over there and I'm an idiot. And we have the longest, most awkward hangout session. Here's the thing too. God damn it. Like there were so many red flags. I was so stupid. Like all of these are red flags already, right? Like I had a dream about you. That means I'm DTF. All of the conversation leading up to it were like the bygones are bygones and grievances. and like the expression of admiration and or physical expression of attraction to the other person, all of those are red flags. But the bucket of red paint that she pulled out, threw in my face, and then hit me with a giant mop that she had already soaked in the red paint was, she immediately invited me to her bedroom in her apartment. I'd never been in this woman's apartment before in my life. I'm in her living room 30 seconds before we're in her bedroom. I did not have sex with that woman. Did not. I did not realize I could have until nearly a decade later. And I go, oh my God, the signs were there. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty, but everything that she did and said that night meant that she wanted to bang. And I was just like, do you want to play You Don't Know Jack on the PC?
Because that's a super fun game.
Do you have anything like that, RJ? I'm so stupid. I've got so many of those stories where I feel like I probably missed out on that because I'm just an idiot.
I was a complete idiot too, and I had a totally different mindset. I was like the first person I fell in love with, I'm gonna marry, and this and that, and all this other stuff. Super like overprotective, and not in a good way, and stuff like that. But what was it? The way me and the girl with the baby ended was we only dated for 4 months, but for me, like in that mindset, I'm already like, well, we're gonna get married.
Well, but like, fuck, dude, like, because you say, okay, lady with a baby, you go, oh, what baby? And then you say 4 months. That feels like a triathlon.
It does. It felt like we were together forever.
Yeah, if you didn't sign on for a baby and that gets dropped into your lap and you stuck around for 4 months, like, that's one of those things in a relationship. A kid is either going to set the hook so hard that, like, so there's a couple of people I know, like people like myself, where I was in the situation you were, and you are this person too, where the kid's there and you go, and you want to get away because it's like, what? Or like Randy, friend of the show, who like went hook, line, and sinker, and he loves those kids.
Yeah. Well, it all depends on the mom too, because like there are the single moms that have kids out there that expect whoever they date to treat their kid like their daughter or be a dad, as opposed to. But
macro point is either like the dudes who mesh immediately or the ones who go, I think I can try this, dip their toe in like RJ and are out in 4 months. And, God bless you for the 4 months. That's way more than I probably could have stood.
Oh, it wasn't my choice to leave.
Well, you have a chain around your neck?
No. She
borrowed your favorite hoodie. Wouldn't give it back.
She took your class ring.
Like 3 months, 3 months into it, she moves to Florida with her mother. And so it was a long distance relationship. The plan was for me to move down there. And then maybe 2 weeks after she moved down there, she goes, I'm at work and I get a random text message. It just pops up and I just read it, and then she goes, I'm getting married. And I ran to my an office, closed the door, and I immediately called her. I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, oh, well, my cousin is...
I want to marry my cousin.
My cousin is going to get like deported, so I need to marry him so he can stay in the United States.
That is... Okay.
He's Colombian.
Give me the gut check. Does that feel real to you, RJ? Or was that like, oh my God, I need to break this off and I don't know how to do it?
No, I was like, at the time I was super pissed off. I'm like, what do you mean you're getting married? Like just an hour ago we were telling each other how much we love each other. And but then when she said it was only to make sure her cousin doesn't get deported, I was like, oh, okay.
And then we're going to have a couple of kids just to make sure he's real good and stuck in there. I'll probably give him on the scale of 10 to the order of 10 BJs. Just to really, I don't know, man. That feels like so...
And that wasn't even the end. It lasted for like another 2 weeks.
What?
And then finally she emailed me.
Oh my God. You got a Dear RJ email. Dear
And-
RJ, I'm now fully committing to my cousin. We don't care about the blood relative of it all. We're far enough apart. We're going to risk the genetic malformations. God bless and good night.
She said she didn't want me to move to Florida for her. Like, if I wanted to move to Florida and start my own life, that would be one thing. But the fact that I was moving down there just for her is she didn't want to ruin my life. So she's like, it's better if you just stay up there.
And God
that's how she
bless her
ended it.
for that. I can't, guysing, it's the selfish action, obviously, she didn't want you down there, but guysing it is like, hey, if you're not ready, don't do it. Like, God bless her for that, because some people would string you along right across the country and then fuck you over, and then you got to limp your way back to whatever resources you had before you left.
Yeah. Oh, God. That.
So, but like the universe will hand you outs like that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a similar story, but I wanted out. I wasn't like fighting for the relationship like you at least seem to have high hopes of. This girl, oh God, what a disaster. So I met her. She was a waitress at the Village Inn that my mother basically forced onto me, being like, are you single? Here's my son. And I go, God damn it. So this is the food stamp story. So I go, okay, we exchange numbers. We talk. Okay, meet up. My memory is so vague of this because it's just like, I want to forget it, but there's so much I can't. The salient details are we met up and she goes, okay, what do you want for dinner? Do you want steak? And I go, yeah, sure. Steak sounds great. She's like, I'll buy. And I go, oh my God, like being a waitress at the Village Inn here in my local municipality must pay a lot. So we go to the grocery store. We pick out like 2 great steaks and a bunch of other shit. And she grabs a car for her kid. P.S. She's like, P.S. I have a kid. And he's like 3+, I forget. Old enough to talk in complete sentences. And I go, ha. So we get all the groceries up to the front of the thing. And she's like, you guys take food stamps, right? And I go, ooh, no. I'm eating a steak on the taxpayer's dime. Like, oh no. I felt like so weird in that moment. So she swipes the card. The Matchbox car she buys for her kid can't be used with food stamps. So she pulls $2 out of her purse and buys it. And the cashier's like, yeah, have a good night. And I'm like, yeah, good luck to you too. Wow. So we go back to her home. And now I'm seeing her home for the first time. And it is a single wide trailer with a rotten bottom on a dirt lot in the middle of a desert field covered in cactus and creosote bushes.
Right next to the covered park area that woman brought you.
Right.
Yeah, right there. I was like, hey, I know this place. I was almost assaulted right there. And so she goes, all right, you're the man. You got to cook the steaks. And I go, okay, where's the grill? And she goes, right over there. And I go, what? She goes, there. And it's one of these 16-inch tall Coleman charcoal numbers. And I'm used to working on like a 6-burner propane like luxury line at home. I don't know what the fuck I am doing. I have never cooked on charcoal before. I throw the shit in there. I squirt a bunch of shit on it. I light it up.
Blows up her trailer.
It's a nightmare. We're standing around making awkward small talk, being eaten by mosquitoes outside of a trailer as I cook 2 steaks on a grill that is shorter than my knee height. We go inside and eat in the saddest trailer I've ever seen. I've not been in many trailers, but this is the saddest. So I don't take that for what it's worth. It's not worth much. But halfway through our meal, her obese, homebound mother came out of her bedroom and sat at the table with us for the rest of the meal and the date as a whole.
Where's the where?
It was a breath of fresh air compared to the date I had where the parents sat in their sweatsuits that were from the 80s, and this was the early 2000s, and hurled insults at me with no remorse or like backing down.
What?
Yeah. It's been I've dated a lot of ladies.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But here's the thing. Some people, RJ, maybe you're one of these people. You don't date a whole bunch of people, but at the end of that rainbow, you luck out and you say, okay, this is the one for the time being and for whatever the future. You say, great. But there are people like me. I feel like maybe it's my failure rate. I've been through a lot of cars and I've been through a lot of ladies because they always go through the same pattern. I keep the car until somebody hit me and destroyed it and it got totaled, which happened to like 5 cars and I felt like I was cursed. And I take a lady along the ride until something bumps her off. Either her family's obnoxious, her interaction with my family is obnoxious. I find out she's a rampaging racist, or which happened. There are so many things
They're
that
crazy.
Yeah. The pregnancy scares that were faked. Like there are so many things that can kill a relationship that you don't know you're going to get when you're looking at the outside of that Christmas present, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I always wanted to, I was that, you probably already knew this, but like I was the type of girl that wanted to like fix the other person.
There's a lot of fixers out there. There's a lot of...
But the people that I dated that I genuinely liked, I also partially did it because my dad didn't. So a lot of it was like a revenge thing or like not revenge.
That's the dynamic of the dating world is like, not only are you having to manage your feelings and look for that stable connection, and whether you're genuine or not, let's say you're the control group in that scenario. You, me, RJ, we're the control group. We're out there looking for love in hopefully all the right places. We're the person who's not, whatever. We want to settle down. That's the type of person you have to deal with. People working through daddy issues. I worked through a fuck ton of those people who, weren't nobody comes out as crazy at first.
Yeah.
Or, whatever the reason is, that because that's one thing we all do in dating, I think. I don't know if we do anywhere else. Is like if we're getting into a situation where it's a possible dating situation, we'll look over certain shortcomings if other things really hit. Like we don't do that with cars. With cars, we're super picky.
Mm-hmm.
With a car, you go, this doesn't fit. It doesn't feel right, blah, 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 blah. You don't walk into a car and be like, the steering wheel feels so good, I can forgive the seat. You don't do that.
No.
But with people, we're emotional with people. So we'll latch on to what emotional triggers they inspire in us and go, okay, that is worth the dollop of shit that is this quality.
Yeah.
But I don't know. How do you circumvent that? You can't really treat dating like you're buying a car where you want to, because there are people out there who do that where like it's about the money or some quantifiable skill and or attribute and or physical characteristic that you can go like, oh, this is better than enough people that I can lord it over somebody.
Mm.
And that's the thing. If you're in it for the genuine article, you have to deal with all of those other random variables. And if you're lucky, you get like 2 or 3 and you don't, because that's the thing. I do feel like, because when you start talking about your history with with romance, it does feel like you're describing yourself as like a 1976 Toyota Camry that's seen 40 owners and that, when you look at it, you go, how is this being held together? That's what you feel like when you have to go like, well, I have this and this and this and this, and they're all different people, and you're talking to someone else who's all their stories revolve around the same 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people are, maybe it's luck, maybe it's whatever. Some people can just intuit better. Some people stick with things they shouldn't for longer.
I think that's a lot. Well, at least for me personally, I think I've seriously dated, aside from you, 3 people in my dating career.
And it's the same thing with cars too. You and me are the same with cars and relationships. You had like 2 cars and 3 boyfriends. I had a fucking armada from GMC, Chrysler, and across the pond. And a fuck ton of ladies blew through my door. But a good 90% of them probably escaped a banging because I was completely dense to it. Just out of the loop.
RJ, thoughts?
Escaped a banging.
Yeah. They could have. They wanted it too. That's the thing. It's number 1, mind-blowing that I missed all the signs. And number 2, that I was at any point desirable to anybody, that they were like trying to manipulate me. Because if you would have come out and because since I was so stupid, if they would have been like, hey, Dave, it's so-and-so from that place. I put on some perfume. Would you like to have intercourse? I would have said yes 100% of the time. But if it's down to intuition.
Would you like to have intercourse?
It was, in so many words. The delicate play of sexual tension was beyond my means for a very long time.
I was always in the, we must be very good friends.
And that's the thing too, is if you're not one of those alpha fucking toxic dudes, or you're just really good at reading people, knowing when to take that next step can be super scary. I mean, if you're in it, I'm totally checked out of it now. And even if I were into it, I would still be checked out of this aspect of it, because you want them to be checked into you, and the dynamic of that, whether you're a sincere, genuine person or not, is the person who has the least investment in the relationship often has the most control. Because the people in a relationship, it's a non-existent thing that exists in our imaginations. It asserts a power dynamic, whether it's as lofty as money and status or as little as attention. The person who, because how many times have you heard that story where I couldn't talk to such and such for 8 hours because I left my phone at work and they blew my phone up. Mm-hmm. It's that lack of attention that brings them in. And I didn't exploit that. I bet I was probably, now unpacking this, since I was acting completely aloof and completely checked out, I may or may not have, caused a few ladies to go batshit. Because when you do have that lack of attention, it does make you so much. Because again, I'll bring up the example from before. I was in the girl's bedroom. The lights were out. It was nighttime. There were candles lit in the room. I left with 0 points scored on that baseball card. I didn't even make it to first base.
Good thing it's not a baseball court.
She fell asleep before anything could happen, and I had to lock myself out. I'm such a gentleman. Ultimate gentleman.
Her safety is priority.
Yeah. I was not an incel. I was a decel. Too dumb. I was dumb.
A dumb cell?
Yeah, dumb cell. There's got to be now that I've said it, I've created it, so you might as well figure a name for it. But people who are too stupid to get laid and only realize it later. I don't have a problem against women. They have no problem against me. It's just I'm too stupid interacting with them to realize they wanted to have sex until possibly years after the fact. But hey, I don't have chlamydia.
Right, you got that going for you.
Got that going for me.
Don't have herpes. Yay!
So did you have any weird dates, RJ? Like, was there anyone you dated that was like, the first one was so off-putting or strange, like the first one you're like, okay, that's it, I'm out?
No, because I only like really dated 3 people before I had a 13-year relationship.
Fucking Krista are lame as hell.
And that was between a period of 18 years old and 21. So it was a very short period. All 3 people lasted 4 months.
So I get, here's the thing. I can only have access to one perspective, and that's mine. And even though it feels like if I were to sit down and to say, make a list of the people I were serious about, like whatever you want to define as serious, like let's say serious includes the ability and desire to fuck them. So anything pre-puberty or anything like that, before I get a boner, off the table, right? It does feel like a lot, even though I'm only pulling the ones I can remember. It feels like a lot. But I feel like I needed all of that to get unstupid.
Same.
I needed.
I learned so much from those relationships.
Right, but I'm wondering what you got out of sticking it out versus what I got out of just repetitive hitting. Because it feels like I'm hitting my head against a brick wall versus you sinking your head deep into a huge blob of bread dough. And whereas I find out, bam, that hurt and I've got to stop, you can stay in the bread dough as long as you can hold your breath. And that's as long as your will persist. You know what I mean?
Well, I never broke up or broke off any relationship. It was always them breaking up with me. My second serious girlfriend after the baby one, she...
It can be taken wrong. After that baby relationship, I couldn't find love.
It came to a point where they're like, this is like week 3 of her not wanting to see me, but I ask if she wants to break it off, and she says, no, I want to be with you. And I'm like, okay, well, let's hang out. And she'll be like, no, I don't want to see you. And so I was left in a relationship limbo because I could make this work. Okay. So why would I break up?
Right.
Okay, so yeah, that's another facet of this that I sort of downplayed, or actually a couple. If you're someone who feels like you can fix someone else, 2 things. Number 1, you can't. Number 2, work on yourself because that's who's broken. But if you're one of those people who sticks in and it's not like you're trying to fix them and you're delusional, you just have an insane tolerance for bullshit, that doesn't help anybody either necessarily. I have no tolerance for bullshit, which is why I blew through ladies. Like, it wouldn't get very serious, but like, if it's something that your gut tells you every time if something is fundamentally incongruous with you as a person, like you'll feel it, but your intellectual mind will try to manufacture excuses why you should keep it because of the time, whatever you're going to use to justify. When I was young and it sort of dipped as I got, more experience, and now it's back to where it was, I'm just not into the bullshit. If you know in your heart of hearts, because when someone asks you a question, your mind, your heart, your gut, your soul, whatever you want to believe it is, it goes, boop, here's the answer. And then since we're so fucking smart, we go, well, I better think it over. Wrong answer. Do the first thing. And that's what I did. And I believe, even though I got into a lot of situations that I could have gotten out of earlier and I could have gotten deeper into, it was thanks to my stupidity that I basically got out alive.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I could have dozens of illegitimate children because of all the sexual encounters possibly that I could have walked into had I been checked into reality. I never brought a condom because I was too stupid. And I would, again, if they were explicit and been like, let's do P to V intercourse, I would have been like, yes. So there'd be a bunch of little bastards running around.
P to V.
P to the V.
Yeah. Like I was
P to M.
all for the, I can fix whatever. very first like 2.5-year relationship, I was young. It was a bad relationship. It was terrible. And I didn't know how to get out of it because I was young and I didn't know who to talk to. And I was never going to tell my father about the things that happened.
Right. And that's the thing. Just as a real quick, like all those PSAs, they're like, hey, reach out and talk to somebody. I saw all those PSAs too. If you're in a situation where the status quo is like, shut the fuck up, no amount of cartoon characters and or daytime and or nighttime sitcom drama actors saying like reach out, it's gonna do bullshit.
Mm-mm. And especially like, I was young, so it started when I was 14. He was 16. We were two years apart, and it ended when I was 16 and a half ish, when I was basically getting ready to like graduate and then go to college. Was when I don't remember even how it ended, but I'm sure glad it did. And obviously, and I was able to drive, I think was probably like the saving grace for me because before I couldn't drive. So like anything we would do, it wouldn't be me driving. I wouldn't have the control to be able to leave a situation.
Right. That's the thing, the power dynamic, no matter what it comes in, as simple as attention or as, intricate as like having just transportation, like any power dynamic will change that. And like to change this to sort of a lighthearted thing, like I, sitting before you right now, did not think I was going to marry a white person.
And I am white.
And you are ultra white. My track record up until a certain point was nothing lighter than like, like a Frappuccino at a Starbucks. I did not touch anything lighter than like a overly milked coffee. And it's just so, that's the thing. You can't really put expectations out there because, I just, and it wasn't like I was doing it intentionally. Like there was this, I don't know. I cannot put my finger on why this happened, but maybe it's this nexus point. When I was young and watching Sesame Street, I fucking loved Gordon, right? He's my favorite character on Sesame Street for some reason. So I wanted to have a shade. I
pictured Grover.
Grover. No, I wanted to be a real boy. I was a human. So I wanted a couple of things. I wanted a shaved head because Gordon had a shaved head. And I wanted to be black, which eventually people told me was out of the question. Mm-hmm. You can like do a Michael Jackson and go black to white, but going white to black, you can't
Not
do.
so much.
But regardless of that fact, I fucking loved and still to this day love the look of African American, Caribbean, Puerto Rican, Mexican, every darker skin out there. I was like, this is what gets me. And so I went from just like a sea of chocolates and coffees. And then one day I fell into the whitest shades, and it was all milquetoast from there on out. I'm not mad. Like I'm not going to be like, I wish people were browner, because you meet who you meet. But it just came as a complete shock to me because of like, half a dozen to a dozen girls in a row, on the darker shade of things. And I was like, yeah, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. I was saying stupid shit like that because I was a young idiot and I was saying stupid shit like that. And I would point to my girlfriend. Yep. Who knew? I mean, did you expect to be where you were now, RJ?
I said I was always going to be with a Hispanic woman. So like first girlfriend Colombian, second girlfriend Puerto Rican. And then after that, it was just white.
It's so strange.
I never dated any guy that wasn't white because my father, there was no way.
Parts of participation may vary.
Right.
But if you're open to anything will come to you. Like I was so ignorant of, it's so weird to me because growing up, people have to be indoctrinated into racism. And I was so ignorant of other races. Like my parents were, race wasn't such a thing that I didn't even know that African Americans had. Back then we called them black people. I didn't know you called them black people. I would call them chocolate people. Mm. And my parents and all of my family members and friends let me call black, African American, Jamaican, anything you could qualify as that. I would call them chocolate people. That little chocolate boy, the little chocolate girl. And like far past the age where I should have been. Like it was far past cute. No one was like, hey, here's the thing. Stop calling them chocolate. Like it's a weird thing that you're doing. But I fucking loved it. I am so jealous of African American hair. After my boss left, she was African American. I miss seeing her every day because it was the only person I got to interact with. It's all just RJ here is white as the fucking driven snow.
It's hilarious because I'm half Puerto Rican.
I know, but you don't come across as that's the thing. Part of maybe that's why I liked it too. Is like I grew up in a sea of beige. If you're white and middle class, born in America in the 80s, you grew up as like that sort of white noise that people fall asleep to. So that's what I wanted too, is like, because I knew that the darker skinned girls came with a more exotic flavor, not only in culture, but in like literal food, in music. Mm-hmm. It was something I wanted. I wanted something to be more than like, because all my junior high girlfriends were white as fuck, listening to the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and shit. And I wanted something zany. So the first chance I got, I met a black girl named Marguerite, and it was like off the rails from there. Never looked back until I did, and then here we are.
Here we are.
I don't know, that's what I'm getting at. It's like you don't set expectations if you're out there on the market, because you don't know what you're going to end up with. You don't know what configuration, what gender, what creed. I can't imagine, because there are people out there. There are so many conflicting things. You go, oh, we get along, and you go, how? But that's them, because you don't know how it's going to pop for you.
Did I ever tell you, RJ? Like when I met David online
on Tinder, we were on Grindr. Both of us were on Grindr.
On OkCupid. So there's like a star rating. So you rate the people that you see and like that come up on your thing. So I rated him the 5 stars. He rated me 5 stars. And then he messages me and said,
I said, put him on the glass. First thing I said to him.
He goes, hey, looks like we rated each other pretty high. I'm Dave.
I can't believe you remember this.
And that was it. I'll never forget it, because is the start of this.
You know what's horrifying? So speaking of the woman with food stamps who I wanted to get on, to put a button on that story, which I realized I forgot, what ended that relationship was, and I'll remember the day for the rest of my life, like you'll remember our first DM. I was working with an old dude who was completely incompetent. I was an electrician. I was hot and miserable in the deserts of Arizona. This dude stank like shit. He goes, oh, I gotta take a dump. And he wandered into the distance, and I go, thank God that guy's gone. That's when I get a call from this girl who goes, hey, so I got an extreme DUI, and I'm going to be in Tent City, which is the local jail. They live in tents out here, for the next 6 months.
Nice.
And that was the end of the relationship.
She went to jail. She
went to jail for an extreme DUI.
Well, I didn't know there was levels of DUI.
Yeah, I didn't either. Yeah. But apparently they hit her with the extreme, because it was the day after the 4th of July that she called me, because that's when she had access to a phone that she could get to someone beyond her lawyer, I assume, and let me know what was up. And then she was going to be incarcerated for a while. And I said, thanks for letting me know. Stay cool.
Like when someone says extreme DUI, I just picture like them riding a bike and like grinding on rails and has like a times 14 combo going, and a cop just comes up and is like, hey, walk a straight line. And they can't do it. And so they're like, DUI.
Extreme.
This is Tony Hawk's extreme BMX DUI. Oh, yeah. Just grinding and shit. And the cops are like, are you drunk? You're like, fuck you, pig.
Vomit everywhere.
Yeah, vomit everywhere. But yeah, that's the thing. You don't know why, how, when it's going to strike. And thank God the ones that do go up the way they do. Because, like, sitting on this side of everything, right? Everything's calm. You're not in the middle of anything weird. Because here... give me a 1 to 10 of, like, how you would feel, like, shock value wise if this happened to you. I was dating a girl. She got in deep with me and my family way too quickly because she was semi-toxic and semi-manipulative, whatever. I'm unsure how to tell you this story. I guess I'll give you the context first. So she, apropos of nothing, reaches out to my mother and says, "Hey, Dave's mother, I'm pregnant. I just took a pregnancy test. I missed a period or two, and I'm pregnant with your son's child." I'm the guy who did it, right? I have no idea that this is going on. So it's a Friday night. I'm in my 20s. I'm out at a restaurant with my buddies eating food. When I get a call from my mom, who doesn't call me very often, and I go, "Hello." And she goes, "So-and-so is pregnant." And I go, "What?" I go, "That is impossible." Because here's the thing. I was there every time I fucked her, and I know what happened. There's no way. There's no way. It's like if you didn't murder someone, that type of confidence you have. If someone says, "I bet you murdered a person," you go, "I bet I didn't," because you know you didn't.
Bitch, I bet I didn't.
Bitch, I bet I didn't. So everyone in my family, hook, line, and sinker buys in. "Dave, you're a scumbag. I can't believe this. You're going to have to get married. You know, now it's time to step up to the plate, Dave." And I go, you know, you can only tell your side of the story for so long before you go, "Fine, fuck it. Like, let's live in this reality." So I go, "Great. I accept it. You're pregnant. I don't care." I told her because I didn't fucking believe it. So I go, "Okay, you're pregnant. That's cool. Here's the thing. Send me a request for child support as soon as it pops," because she, like, after this whole pregnancy break, the relationship was ruined.
Right.
Like, my family fell apart for the umpteenth time, and I was just like, "All right, fine. I have nothing left to lose. I'm calling everybody's fucking bluff." Mm-hmm. I said, "Send me a fucking check request. I'll send you all the money I make for the rest of my life until that kid is 18. And wouldn't you know it, within the next 6 hours, she had a mysterious miscarriage. And
Wow.
And beyond that, I mean, yeah, that's tragic and all, because no one wants to make light of a miscarriage. Come to find out, the pregnancy test she took could never be produced. That's an important piece of this puzzle. She never visited a medical professional ever. And nobody outside of my parents was privy to this pregnancy, even her parents.
Yeah, she's balls to the wall crazy.
So when I called this bullshit and I was like, "Haha, gotcha." Since she used the miscarriage lie to cover up the pregnancy lie, I didn't even get, like, the benefit of hindsight to be like, "You were right, Dave, as usual. You were impeccable in this situation. And now that everything is laid bare, once again, high five, and we all have Oreos and milk." Since she pulled that whole, like, miscarriage thing, it's like, "Well, you're fucking lucky, you little asswipe," was the vibe.
Yeah.
And I was like, "But
No.
That's the thing. That's what the dating life can bring you. You can bring someone into your life so toxic and so manipulative that they gaslight everybody in your life. And then after it all, like, you know, the house burns down and the gas fire is revealed that you were actually not the one bullshitting. At the end of it, you can still be like, "Nah, we still believe her. She's fucking crazy as hell and could not produce a single receipt to prove the claims." But it's you.
Yep.
depending on how you grew up. That's the thing. There are people out there who will go through none of this. They'll find a single person. It doesn't happen much nowadays, but I feel like if you're old, or like your grandparents probably have this story where like he was 14 and I was 3, or he was 16 and I was 14 and we got married in the Dust Bowl or whatever.
And he went out to war.
Yeah, 'cause my grandparents had the same story. There are some people out there who just like pop with someone, everything works out fine from the jump.
Did you guys have any awkward like dinners with your parents and the person you were dating? Because I have a few, because my parents always insisted that even if you went on one date with the person, they gotta come over for dinner. And
they had to be naked from the waist down. Here's the thing, I'm speaking from experience. I dated her. We had a lovely pasta and vodka sauce when I was still indulging in carbs. But, I was enjoying that noodle while my noodle was hanging out. My other noodle.
So a guy that I was briefly dating, it didn't last very long because there was nothing. It was just, we were just hanging out was like the thing. And my dad's like, what's hanging out? Whatever. So he came over for dinner.
Hand jobs, Ted. Get off my back.
Not even that. Anyway, he chokes at dinner. He's choking.
Chokes?
He's choking on steak.
Like literally.
And my dad is laughing at him. Like, how awkward is it? First of all, this poor guy, however old we were, is sitting there at a table with two stranger adults that he's never met before.
Now
and
he's dying in front of them.
And my dad is laughing at him.
Give me a bad parent of a date story, RJ. You gotta have one.
Okay, so my dates, people I was dating, never even met my parents until like 2 months in, which for my relationships was about halfway over.
Not bad.
So I didn't have any bad experience. My parents are very nice, so I didn't have any bad experiences, but kind of closely related. I had a close friend who I finally went to her house. And like, mind you, I'm in my 20s. I'm probably like 25. First time meeting her parents, find out she lives in like a mansion. Both her parents are doctors.
That's
mansion
weird,
compared
though,
to my
right?
house.
Like when you accidentally punch up, I've done that. Like I accidentally dated a doctor and I never felt more awkward socially.
But this was just like, we weren't dating. Like I was dating my ex-wife at the time. And you
were dating your ex-wife? Taking her back? I'm kidding.
But we sat down for dinner. Everything's super nice table. They're great dinner, and we had corn on the cob. And the first bite I took, juice just shot out from the corn and hit my ex-wife and her best friend in the face. While her parents, like my friend's parents, are just staring at me like, what did you just do? And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening.
I mean, let's be real, RJ. This is kind of like a sitcom related scenario where like that couldn't have been possibly helped. There were too many random variables. It's not like you like slammed the corn down on the table, like pulled the, I assume you had the corn holders.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm assuming you didn't pull the corn holders out, like unzip your pants, skewer your own rod, and offer it to the ladies at the table. That would have been an intentional faux pas, but like squirting someone via a juicy cob. We're all in those. Here's the thing. I'm not super into fostering all these insecurities, but if you want to cut them into levels, I would say there's definitely 3 separate levels where like you're at that position where even, we'll call them acts of God or acts of nature, like when you bite into a corn, it sprays your girlfriend in the face. The accident, out of your hands, you go, oh my God, I'm even so self-conscious. That is upsetting, even though that was beyond your control. Then there's like you making a dead baby joke at like, as they're handing out the ice cream at dessert. That's an intentional fuck up where you probably like, uh-oh, that's the next level up.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, we can go on from there, but like that's the least of offenses. Like if you're getting pulled in for an interrogation for murder, you go like, oh, I have 1 traffic ticket. That's the corn squirting thing, I feel.
I was I was playing Tony Hawk while intoxicated. He's guilty.
Squirted my girlfriend's face in the eye with a corn. Never talked to me again. I had, again,
if you know what I mean.
The parents I interacted with that were like really aggressive toward me. Like it was a mom and dad combo. And I don't know, maybe they were just like both socially bad at interacting with humans, but my nose is crooked if you hadn't noticed. And I was talking about back in the day I was into martial arts, and she's like, oh, so you probably broke your nose, obviously. And I was like, no, it's just crooked. She's like, oh. Not like sorry, I didn't mean to bring it up.
Right.
She's like, oh, and then she went back to cutting her fucking dry ass ham. She fucking fed me. And then like the dad, who is again aforementioned dad in the matching green sweatpants, sweatshirt combo with like the pilling going on heavily in the crotch area of the pants, showed me umpteen thousand pictures of his recent trip when they took their giant poodles to the snow. And God forbid you try to interact with these type of homunculus, because at one point, somewhere at minute 47 of the slideshow, I decided to engage with this crusty old dude. And I go, oh, whoa, what kind of camera did you use? Like looking into the angle of photography to make a connection with this fellow human being in this disgusting sweatsuit that he just ate canned ham with me over dinner with his daughter, and they made fun of me. He goes, in my head, I'm obviously dramatizing it, but it feels like he pushed back the laptop he was showing me this shitty collage of photos on. He turned to me and with like almost he goes, a digital camera? Thanks. And then goes back to the slideshow as if that interaction did not happen. What kind of camera did you use? Digital? Idiot. So here's the poodles in the snow, more poodles. And then this is the same. Okay. I've told this story before on many occasions, but maybe you've not heard it yet. I was back then I was into firearms, and I had a cowboy gun, a single action Ruger Vaquero 357 Magnum. It was everything you wanted in a cowboy gun. And since he was also a gun dude, I was like, here's what I got. And he's like, oh yeah, well, that's a lady gun. It's a gun for ladies. Keep in mind, it's 7 pounds of steel, 6.5-inch barrel, like shoot 357 Magnum bullets. He goes, that's a lady gun. He goes, I had a Ruger Blackhawk for a while. I go, those aren't bad, right? Those aren't bad. You got the real like competition sights on there, more accessible caliber, because I think it was a 45. I was like, what's up with that? He goes, well, one day I lost it. I go, what? He's like, when I was coming out from the shooting range, I put it on top of my car and I forgot about it.
Oh my God.
It fell off. This is hot on the heels of him calling my gun a girl gun, then being like, yeah, I had the better version that I put on top of my car, and then someone probably found and committed a crime with. Eat that, you smarmy little fuck. God, the flavor of disgust that he dished out to me was like, it felt as smooth as a hot Baskin-Robbins scoop going through that sherbet. Just, there's no crumble, cookies or shit in it. It's not necessarily hard enough to be dairy even. It's just that like ice citrus bullshit that just goes and curls up into the perfect, like that was his vitriol for me. He scooped it out so smoothly.
The long-term boyfriend that I had before I moved here that bailed, he was 27 at the time.
I was 17.
Huh. No, I was 22 or 21 or whatever. Anyway, he was still living with his parents.
No.
But he was still in college.
Low
like
count.
we were all in college, whatever. He was
at 27?
Yeah.
It was 32,
and he
still working away, credit a year at a time. He's almost halfway through an AA.
So his parents, super nice people. The weirdest, so his dad was an alcoholic. He was a recovering alcoholic, and then he fell off the wagon when he would sneak port wine under the house and then come on to me when he was drunk.
Oh God.
Yeah. He made really good sandwiches when he was drunk, but I didn't realize he was drunk until...
How hard is it to make a good sandwich, by the way?
Like, he would put it in the oven. Whatever. It would just be really... He would come in from the house and just
He put the sandwich in the oven when he was drunk. You don't understand. This was way before Quiznos, Dave. This is before those sock puppets sang at the moon.
Like, whatever about him, but his mom... So, it was a 2-bedroom house. And so you'd go up the stairs, and that would be the bedrooms. Or you go up the stairs, there's a bathroom, and then a bedroom on either side of the stairs, and a little like add-on computer room off of my boyfriend's bedroom. So we would be hanging out in his room. Mind you, we had to keep the door open, even though he's 27 years old.
Because Jesus.
And she would come up the stairs and just walk in and go into the computer room that is literally just right there while we're like laying and watching like something on his phone or whatever. It was just the weirdest thing. And she would talk like, I think she used to be a elementary teacher.
I feel like that's a pretty homogenous experience. If you're alive today and have dated more than one person, you've had one of those hover parents.
But he was 27
well,
years
yeah.
old.
So let me ask you this, RJ. Any huge age gap disparities in your dating career? I realize out of the 3, probably no.
Nope. Baby one.
Baby?
The baby one.
You dated that baby.
Baby one was the same age as me. I think my next one might have been a year or 2 younger than me. And then probably around the same age.
I don't know what this is now forming a picture of to you, the listener, now, but I feel like I was very malleable because I painted the picture earlier of how I was too stupid to fuck most of these people.
Mm-hmm.
All of my, because this maybe won't come as a surprise to you since my dating card is so full, but I have had my fair share of age disparities. However, the age gap, I was always the younger.
Hey, Anglerfish.
Like,
Also.
what's up, Anglerfish? I was in my teens and they'd be in their late 20s. I'd be in my early 20s and they'd be in their early 30s. Like, I remember specifically, it was such a heavy factor on the woman I was dating at the time that, like, when I invited her over to meet my parents, I pranked her by saying that my parents weren't actually okay with the drastic age difference and sent her into an anxiety spiral. But moral of the story is I was always the younger. So I was easily manipulatable, obviously, because I was never the one like at the helm being like, yeah, I got someone 8 years my junior. I was always the one being like ushered around by mommy characters, essentially.
You like the cougars? Yeah, I always.
Well, I wasn't even
older.
like I liked it. All the ones that happened, full disclosure, just sort of happened. One was my boss. So now looking back on that, like that, I was a Me Too kid in this scenario because like she was my boss, almost 15 years my senior, and we did some highly inappropriate stuff. But I was 18. I mean, again, the implicit versus the explicit. The implicit was most of my sexual possible encounters. When it got explicit, it was explicit because I was so stupid. I was like a wooden duck on a string. If at any point they made a move, I would have been like, yep.
Here we go.
Do it. All right.
And away we go.
Basically. And that's the thing. Thank God, like, you can go a bunch of different ways, right? You can go like super horned up where you're actively searching for this at too young of age, or like you get scarred by it. I thankfully was so ignorant to it when it didn't happen. I wasn't upset because I missed out an opportunity, but I also wasn't smart enough to be scarred by it when I potentially could have been because I was so stupid. I was like, hey, this is actually pretty cool. Like, in the situation where like you say, oh, well, in a vacuum, this is gross. But let's say you're the 18-year-old and there's a 32-year-old, for example, sucking you off. Would you be like, hey, this is immoral, right? No, you're not. Because you're being, number one, you're being taken advantage of. But number two, like, at that point, culturally, you feel like you hit the jackpot. Like as a dude in, growing up in my time period, it just felt like, yeah, this is great. But like reverse those genders, I'm a victim. Like I probably legitimately was like led into things I probably shouldn't have been led into by people who should have known better. Because if you're in your 30s and someone is still technically considered a teenager, you should probably leave them the fuck alone.
Yeah, probably.
But these are things you have to navigate. And that's why dating is so weird. And why some people, on one hand, you can say luck out and have a short sheet of 2 or 3 people. But I guess it's just the flavor. Like I can sit in my ring on my side of the table and say all of my short but toxic relationships are preferable to a long and somewhat prolonged but ultimately doomed one.
Yeah.
But there are so many pros and cons to each because the slow boil is a lot less of a stressor than the stressful, like I'm pregnant or this or that, or like all of the crazy shit that got flung my way because it was an inferno over a slow boil. I can't say which is better. If I had to choose, sitting on this side, I would have liked a slower boil every now and again because holy fuck, if you're into crazy shit, you can fire it at your face like a fucking Gatling gun.
Yeah, I mean, I agree for the most part, but also for the slow boil also just depends on, I mean, gender-wise too.
Well, I'm saying, like, it's participation may vary.
Yeah.
Your role in all of these things is constantly moving, but that's what I want to get across is like apps and commercials and shit make dating feel like it's as easy as going on a show and meeting a bachelor or going on an app and being like, hey, zero experience.
It's a bit weird hearing this. Oh, yeah, anglerfish is young.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's the thing, too. You've got a whole, if you are young, and you got a whole, an infinite void of potentialities. Are you going to be one of those people who does very few people? You see a lot of people, not so many, whatever. It doesn't matter. I think one thing that this brings up is it sort of illustrates our marriage to our past. Oh yeah, 19.
Yeah, he's 19.
Holy
that's
fuck.
what I thought. I just didn't want to like out you as like how old you were.
20 years of fucking disgusting shenanigans on your ass. And RJ's probably got 10. But that's part of it though. I think that no matter how you get it, you got to get it somewhere. And some people's flavors are just a slow drip of, and that's the thing. I want to be like, why do you guys do that? But on the other side, you guys probably think like, how do you blow through so many cars and girls or boys or whatever the thing is? The other side of the coin is always weird to the side that you're on.
Well, and it's not the same.
I mean,
go ahead, RJ.
I totally get it because especially thinking about my mindset back then, I was just like, so all 3 4-month relationships, the first month is the honeymoon month where everything's great, nothing can go wrong. And then for the next 3 months, I'm trying to curve the relationship back to that honeymoon thing because things aren't really working out.
Yeah.
And so for the next 3 months, I'm just like, I can fix this. We can get back to that happiness.
Right.
And then we just never get there.
It feels...
So you blowing through it makes sense to me because you're just like, you call a spade, and you're like, this isn't working. I'm done.
Next.
Right. So that's kind of, so anglerfish, I want to get to your stuff because you're bringing up a lot of cool stuff too. But really quick, one of, the defining qualities of what you could call this thing that you're looking at possibly is that when I get into something, I want to crank it all the way up to max and see how long I can withstand that volume. And what is going to have genuine staying power is going to be exactly that. It's going to be something that resonates deeply. Like you're seeing me talking into this microphone. I've been doing it for a while because I turned it up to 11 and it's stuck. Krista is here. Everything that I have in my life is because I cranked it up to 11 and it did not get shaken apart, essentially. And that's, to me, it always felt like the smartest way to do it. Because if you're going to jump into something or get into something, do it to its finest degree, its fullest extent. Rip the knob off, like RJ says there in the chat. Rip the knob off, because it just felt more expedient to me than having layer after layer fall away and this or that. But again, the trade-off is the breaks are often way more violent, because a slow buildup can also be a slow breakaway, which can be comforting to people. And bringing something to a hard boil and throwing ice into it is going to be a violent reaction.
Yeah.
But if you're okay with your place in space and time, it actually works out pretty good, because the infamy that you feel, the half-life of like a bad breakup is a lot less than a slow breakup, because you have the slow breakup and then the slow pulling apart after the breakup, all the talks that come after that shit, possibly. Like, sure, the Band-Aid may rip a bunch of hair out and you go, God damn it!
I went.
God damn it! But it's better than having a slow surgery that you're awake the whole time, so I get it.
When I was in college, so like anglerfish, yeah, I missed out, I feel like, about a lot of dating when I was in high school, because I only dated one person in high school.
Same here.
Halfway through my high school career, like junior, senior year, whatever. But when I was in college, I dated two people, both for 2 years.
Same time, though. Okay.
Two people for 2 years, and they were friends. So I had the slow breakup of the first friend, because he just, it wasn't right. And I had feelings for the friend that I got a lot closer with than I was with my boyfriend at the time and stuff, yada, yada, yada. It was a very slow, because I was guilty. I felt bad. I didn't know what to do. I was young and stupid.
You've got a follow the House of Usher thing where, like,
I felt bad for him because, like,
everybody sees the end of the road. You know, it is a smoldering blob of burning plastic that will eventually be gone, but by its nature will be a slow burn for the time. I can't do. I can't say that I can't do that, because I have done that. At least it felt like it to me. But it just always felt more expedient to throw some gas on that shit, to be like, let's lay it bare. You want to take this copper to the recycler and you want to get the fucking insulation off of it, you can sit there with a knife and peel it back and see what sticks and what doesn't, or you can throw it in a fire.
Yeah.
Bingo.
First year of college was COVID and had no people, and also my branch has like only dudes. Oh yeah, because you're going to like mechanic school or something, right?
That's the thing too, is like, okay, if you're a dude and you're insulated with a bunch of other dudes who are constantly talking about fucking, you're either going to be behind the eight ball and be like, oh man, it seems like, because they're lying, all those dudes are lying, it's going to feel like they're getting shit that you're not, or it's just going to come off like they're super gross all the time.
Right.
Sex is important. Like, relationships and their shininess as a new object in your life is such a finite time period. Like, and when you get past that, you realize, oh, that was actually pretty lame, because you're in that awkward phase where you're still having to sort of keep up appearances. And even though, you know, after a while of dating, the real you comes out and you settle into the rut of your true self, that isn't a bad thing always. You can settle into each other. It's just, I'd rather get there faster. Like with Krista, we didn't spend a lot of time courting, right?
Yeah, no.
I mean, you were in the house living and sleeping in my bed very quickly.
Yeah, we met, it was like November 1st was our first date, or November 3rd. We met on the 1st via DMs, and then we went on our first date.
DMs.
We went on our first date 2 days later.
She was sending me dick pics, which is confusing.
And then literally,
whose dick is this? That said?
Literally Thanksgiving time that same month, I was moved in.
Right. So, but that's.
Dave was just like, "My lady, would you like to share thine covers?"
Well, because she was about to blow our money on this crappy little condo, and I was like, no, don't do that. But moral of the story is, I'm going to sort of champion my standpoint, because after you've seen this pattern play out in all of its different variations, ending in the same place, you can sort of fast forward to some sort of decision. Like, the higher mind says this is a bad idea. It just takes a while for your emotions to get on board. By that time, I was so familiar with this pattern of like, how many red flags are there and how long do I have before those red flags become like warning signs and then the nuke goes off?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Once you get so good at seeing the warning signs, once you don't see any, you're like, okay, that's great. Like you pour gas on the thing, not because you want it to burn, but because you want to get all the impurities out. Like I said with the copper wire before. If you want to purify something, oftentimes you have to heat it up, burn off all the shit you do not want, and see what lays bare as the core asset. And oftentimes, that's when you find out that they were just tissue paper, and they'll have a fake pregnancy scare or be a weirdo or whatever they turn out to be. It just depends on, you want to burn it off with a candle being held by old Scrooge as he's being taunted by the three ghosts around Christmas time, or do you want to just throw the fucking gas on and get it over with?
Yeah.
And that's why Mervin has a new lady.
Oh, yeah.
Get it? That's why we were here.
Anglerfishes. I just hung out with friends and nose to the grindstone in high school. Yeah,
Because here's the thing.
too.
Fucking isn't, like, grand scheme of things, nothing is gonna, like, nothing you do is ever gonna be like an outstanding achievement that you go, yeah, that's where I made it. Because you're so young. Like, if you peak now, sorry, that's not good. But like all the people who whatever, it always was weird to me where like most things by and large I can see through as like, nothing lasts forever, so let's just chill out, do the things you enjoy, and if you want to become an expert, do that, but yada, yada, yada. It always seemed like that sort of thing, because when you're single, you're in that demo, you're young, and everybody's like, yo, get with it, man, you gotta find someone. You go, what the fuck? Like, what? It always seemed like such a hassle where it's like, everybody like talks about fucking. I know about girls. I'm talking for boys. Junior high, high school, college. Most of the time you're just talking about fucking. When if you do the math and you're pragmatic about it, the time you spend fucking the person you are attaching yourself to socially for the rest of your life, in that, as long as you're attached, the other 99% of you being with them socially, I feel like that's a little more important, right?
Yeah.
Because like, not everybody did it. Probably I did it. You're with that person who's like, physically and sensually appealing and fulfilling in every way. But the other 98% of the time you spend with them is just like, shut your fucking mouth, bitch. I fucking hate you, or whatever. Like levels of toxicity.
Yeah. Girl, I mean, at least when from what I remember of high school, because I don't remember a lot of things, I didn't talk about sex and stuff with.
Well, yeah, and part of it too is like now with the benefit of hindsight, when I felt this coming, I just felt like all the dudes who were at the very, because I had no proof, I wasn't checking their dicks to see if they were still wet. But all the dudes who claim to be banging 24/7 in high school, like when you check with them in latter life, you go, well, what's up with that? How are those life goals that shake out, my dude? And it's like, not great. Like, I'm not anywhere special, but I'm not like, I don't know. I don't want to throw shade because everybody needs to fit somewhere in existence. But there's a level of implied status that I don't want to get into, so we won't. RJ, let's wrap this up. I appreciate you coming on and talking about this. I was hoping you'd be like a real Casanova where you'd like plowed your way through a field of chicks, but oh well. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
I mean, you don't drink, you
We'll
don't
come
swear.
back next month and revisit this.
We got to find something that you have that's a vice that we can fully exploit. Right? Because, like, every time I want to dig deep into something, you're like, yeah, I did it 3 times. Or, like, I've seen it once. Or, like, I heard the song through a car window while traveling 75 miles per hour in the other way.
Let's talk about quality of sleep. Because I like to sleep a lot. What you need is a good pillow.
Well,
one that's not too hard.
I mean, if you want to talk about sleep, we could go a little deep because there's a... he's not alive anymore, but his name was Sri Ramana Maharshi, who said that the perfect state of enlightenment was encapsulated in a dreamless sleep, which is confusing to me, and I kind of get it. But what are your thoughts on that?
Wait, say that one more time.
Perfect consciousness and ultimate awakening was held within a dreamless sleep, and I'll sort of unpack that if you want. Because most of these Eastern religions and spiritual practices find that most things arise from nothing, and so nothing is the ultimate potentiality. So his thinking here is in a dreamless sleep, you're not engaging the critical mind. You're simply existing outside of time and space in a perfect state of consciousness, which is nothing. And I go, well, but the human organism was granted these 5 senses. That's where they go, where on the spectrum of enlightenment, there are different places too. And that all just comes from sleep, a dreamless sleep that you brought up. You're very deep, RJ. You're a deep dude. I'm glad I had you on the show.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you're that well versed into Hindu philosophy as you were. I'm very impressed. Well, let me tell you what. Thank you, everybody, for showing up if you did show up, because I know if it's not true crime, people go, But it's always fun for me, because things where I get to play out the most and play you my bits, I enjoy the most. But everybody's like, well, we enjoy it, you enjoy it. That's what they say.
That's great. We'll catch you next time. Hearing
someone say that, I'm glad that you enjoy it. It's kind of like hearing a parent say, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Like they're not the same, but the sentiment is there.
Yeah.
RJ, are you doing anything that you can point people toward? Like social media is a thing. Are you trying to build a presence, or are you just trying to be a regular dude nowadays?
Just being a regular dude. I actually start my new job on Monday.
What? What about the crazy bathrooms?
Oh.
The miles of urinals. The tiny toilet room. What's happening?
We'll have to see the new bathrooms and see how that works.
Listen, I want you to check in with me a month after you get hired, and I want a bathroom status update for every shitter in that place.
Okay. Sounds good.
What are you going to be? A rocket
I'm going
man?
to be a data entry specialist for a fiber optics company.
I thought about being a dada, but it was too gross. Dude in the diaper, I just couldn't handle it. Anyway, so wait, what? You're going to be a data what?
Data.
And I
analyst?
enter data.
Yeah.
Oh, that's basically my job.
And it was mine.
That's the thing. Like, most jobs, if you sit behind a desk, is data entry or data analysis. Like I get to bullshit and say like, I'm the head of billing, or I do insurance billing, and that makes you feel like I do something. But I'm just taking information from one source and plugging it into another source 99% of the time.
You mean you aren't deciding all the prices?
Believe it or not, no. Like no matter how many irate asswipes call up and explain to me how they believe that they don't have a deductible after they've just become aware of the concept of a deductible. I mean, yeah, I'm willing to eat crow. Sure, I've been doing this for 12 years, but you're a Blue Cross participant, and I can't second guess you. So
customer's always right.
Yeah. So you just hang up and go about your business. Anywho, so you've got nothing to plug or nothing, like no channels to on Twitch or making a comeback there or anything.
Nah.
You don't think it'd be the comeback kid?
Your average Joe.
All right. Well,
there is one thing. The Gaming Starts Here website should be up by like next month. So check that out.
Bullshit.
I feel like I've been hearing that the Gaming Starts Here website feels like a local legend, the Lost Dutchman's mine. Like out here, a Dutchman had a gold mine. Someone's going to find it. Gaming Starts Here has a website. It's on the deep dark web. Like at this point, the Gaming Starts Here website is like the Silk Road, where you can buy illicit drugs and like sex traffic, right? Like holy shit.
It's been 12 years.
Fuck, man. Yeah, like it's on the deepest dark. Like Tor browsers can't even find the Gaming Starts Here website, man. It's on a Word doc on RJ's PC that's been there since 2006. He's just waiting to fire up that machine and load up that JavaScript.
Nice.
Fuck yeah.
On his gateway.
I didn't even get to like most of my notes. I didn't get to a Tom Likas impression.
Oh, man.
Tom Likas. Hey, dump that bitch. Right?
Guess we'll have to have a game night.
We can have a game night.
Yeah, we were trying to get a game night, and then PJ fell off the map and went to Europe.
Yeah, you people are so hard to, as great as the internet has made it for people to become accessible, it does not make it any easier to buy the bullshit excuses that people still try to cram down my throat, RJ. Every time you lie to me, I feel like it's a slap in the face, literally, and I cry a little. My eyes tear up because of the sting of the hit. Of course, I'm kidding. But, hey, these are why we're here. And I appreciate you being here because you and PJ are both dudes who I feel like if we lived near each other, I would be like the annoying guy always trying to be like, you guys want to hang out? But since you're so far away, I have to basically take what I can get.
We have to schedule it.
Yeah.
We have to pencil you in.
I got to put you in months in advance, contrive some bullshit reason of like 2 AI flamingo monsters falling in love to get a good couple hours with either of you guys. But it's worth it. I'll do it every time. Next time we'll have werewolves that are coming together to make babies, and you're going to be there with me.
Nice.
It'll be the Howling 2 all over again, but grosser, I promise you. All right, people. Listening and watching, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. Gaming night, let it deliver.
Yep,
See
pretty
how
much.
that goes. Who knows? Here's the thing. I'll run. Who's watching at this point, right? But the Friday thing should probably stay on point with like this sort of scheduled sort of true crime, or at least there's a kernel of an idea. I'm thinking of doing something in the middle of the week where I don't know. I'll have no idea. Maybe we'll play a game. Maybe we'll do something. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I feel like I could do a lot of just bullshitting, looking at art via AI or talking about King Cobra or being like one of those weirdos. I don't want to be one of those weirdos, but I might become one of those weirdos.
We'll see.
I don't want to be a lolcow fucking dude because that's not me.
No, don't do that because I can't stand a lot of them.
I just like to watch from afar. I want to be like, here's the thing. A bird watcher is a bird watcher, whether he walks up into the park without binoculars or he stays at home and peers through the window from a mile away. That's me, goddammit. Anyway, RJ, thank you for coming on, man. We'll have to have you on again real soon, I hope.
Sounds good.
All right, so until next time, thank you for watching. If you did for any amount of time, any likes and or subscribes don't help the channel at all, but it helps my ego. So when you do it, I feel it in the bottom of my feels. All right, we're out of here. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Adios.
Try to